Righto, so it's time to start getting some cars ready to sell. Righto, so what I've got is a couple of non-exciting ones and one that I really like, so let's have a look at them. Mitsubishi Delica van, she came in a while back. I've done a bit of mechanical stuff to it and it's mechanically good now. I put these big wheels on it, but they hit here. So I'm going to either move the track forward slightly. I might start by swapping out those bolts for screws. See those bolts? Because I think it's not a lot of clearance, but it's just a little bit. I've got to do a bit of paint here. I've got a detailer guy coming in today to do the detailing. Presentation is everything when you're selling a car. I'm not going to do any work to this thing. It needs rear shocks and stuff. It needs a good clean. It is the facelift model, so I think it's a 2009. Mechanically it seems good, except for the rear shocks and stuff. I might have a look what's in the back there. If I've got some shocks hanging around, I'll put them in. It's not too bad inside, but the paint's gone off on it. It drives alright, but it'll be a good car for a family, that like an 8-seater thing that can't afford a good late model car, but will end up with something like that because the paint's gone off in it, so it'll only be cheap. The BMW is just a donor car for the motor because it's got the big motor in it and a really good auto. It's got the big M5 brakes and stuff like that, so one of the E36s, this is sort of a donor car for that. Yeah, seems like a shame to pull it apart, but I'd rather a two-door E36 with the big 6 and everything in it. But the car that I actually am looking forward to getting sorted, and I am going to sell it, is the 929. She's been here for a while. We got it going. I've bought another 2 of these because I needed a fuel tank, because this one just seems to be blocked up and stuff, so I've got to redo the fuel system in it. Other than that, it seems really good. So for anyone that doesn't know, this is a HB 929, okay, but it is actually the a turbo car, so pretty rare, manual. There is other videos on this. This thing had sat for nearly 20 years, but yeah, so I'm gonna have to do tires on it, get all the paint done, redo a lot of these strips. The interior in it is still mint. All the electric suspension still works. There's no rust in it. Like, it's just a full-on time capsule. All the standard stereo and everything in it. These did come out as a Cosmo, as a rotary in Japan. Unfortunately this isn't a rotary, but this will be a very nice car. Yeah, so righto, crossing my fingers this is going to run, because I did get it running. It's just not quite right, and that's due to the fuel tank. We've had the fuel tank out, but sometimes once the fuel tanks go funny and gel and just, yeah, block up stuff, it's just not the best. So we get that out, get it into the shed, and my detailer mate should be here soon to spend the day cleaning cars, which is awesome. I've got heaps of tows to do. That's the reason I'm not doing it myself. Righto, let's get this going and see what we can do. What a difference a bit of polish makes. What a difference. He's just going through masking up all the edges now so he doesn't burn any of the strips. You can see she's starting to shine. It did have one of those black things on the back window, but rear louver, but I had someone working for me that didn't give a shit about things, so yeah, hopefully I can find it, but it'll probably not go back on. There's going to be a few imperfections in the paint. There's nothing we can do about, but all in all it'll come up well. I don't think it's worth repainting, but yeah. Righto, I'm going to go do some more tow jobs and come back, and there'll be more progress. Looks good. He's definitely making progress. I don't know if you can, don't know if the camera really picks it up, but she's coming along quite well. See that door there and that side there, the red's really starting to come. There's a lot of dust on this side, that's why it's a bit dull, but very happy. I didn't realise the boot has a bit of hail on it. The rest of the car's good. Wherever it was sitting, must have got it, but he's started on the top of the door trims. Like, this thing's mint. Like, look at the carpet on the bottom of that. And just inside the doors and all the paint's still so good. The glass is starting to come up perfect. I'm gonna have to do a lot of the black back on these strips and stuff, but yeah, someone's gonna end up with a Pretty nice HB Mazda. The steering wheel's got this discoloration on it because it's the original Momo one and the original Momo gear knob. But yeah, I think we'll be able to sand that a bit and polish it and bring them up quite well. So she's getting there. It's getting there. I'm pretty happy. Yeah, awesome. Keep you updated. Righto, so time to finish off the Mazda once and for all. Whatever happened when the fuel pump got put in, it's noisy, like terribly noisy. So Wayne's gonna sort that out today. We've already done the fuel system in it, so it should be fine. I've got to do a fair bit of driving in this car before it gets sold. It got detailed then sat, so I've got to clean it again. I've got to paint these black strips around the windows. So by the end of the weekend, it's now Friday, so I want to get this gone and sold. So I'm going to have a clean up in here and yeah, just clean up some of the aluminium and stuff. So she still does run well, but can you hear that fuel pump? It's absolutely atrocious. However it's mounted or what it's doing, so yeah. Anyway, this Mazda will be for sale. I've almost caught up with all my videos, so we're almost up to date. So you've seen a lot of the stuff that's come through, but we have been doing a lot of generic stuff like the Delica van out there, which I've done the paint on that last night. This Pajero here that's getting the front put back on it. Yeah, righto. We'll call back in later with Wayne, see where he got to. So this is back together. He found that just the pump was not mounted properly and the hose was wrong. It's like some soft hose, so when it was drawing out of the tank, it was squeezing the hose together. And then yeah, so he's replaced that, mounted that properly. So this is just a test drive now. We just bought some alley bright stuff to start cleaning up the aluminium in the engine bay, and I've got to get a battery out of a rack that's outside, and then we're going for righto. She's running, noise is gone. I've got to go and get some CV boots and rack boots for the WRX. So we are going to drive this one across to Kingatow. It's a maiden voyage with it, sort of all right. It's it's got a few lights going on and stuff, but I think that all that'll improve. So this thing's done 139,000 Ks. You can see the suspension thing there. When you flick the switch here, it changes the actual suspension, and it actually works still, which is great. But righto, let's get this beast on the road and hope we don't break down. This thing is so nice. It's still got that noise in the fuel pump. It must just have to rubber mount it a bit better, but it's running well. I cleaned my windscreen and done a terrible job of it, but yeah, this thing just drives so good. I'm so happy. But yeah, they reckon these were quick in their day, but compared to a WRXs would have eaten them alive. But oh, as long as I get from Nanango to Kingaroy, I'll be happy. Here we go. Just driving along and it was real doughy, like I couldn't accelerate, like I was running out of fuel. I just got out and I've undone the fuel cap and it just went like that. So I'm wondering whether it's vapor locking, so it's pulling the fuel out, pulling all the air out of the tank, and then not allowing any more. So then the pump's trying to pull the fuel out and it can't because there's no air to flow through. So I think that's what's wrong. The breather was blocked, but we will yeah, temp gauge is sitting well though, so we'll see how we go. Right, he's picked me up, come to get the truck. Yeah, it's in the pump, or there's a blockage in the tank, or I don't know, because it'll idle and then as soon as you hit the throttle it noses over. So there's some sort of, I'm pretty positive it's fuel. So anyway, that's just what you do with these cars that sit for 20 odd years, isn't it? Righto. Well, that's not exactly how I expected today to end. I think there's an issue with the fuel pump. It seems to idle as soon as you hit the throttle, it dies, but then it makes noise, but then it doesn't. So I think I need to re-look at the fuel pump system. So, but other than that, it drove well. Brakes were great, gearbox was good. Yeah, so anyway, just have to have a look at it. Righto, so he's kicking the day off by trying to work out what was wrong with this fuel pump. What I sort of found was it when the pump was noisy, it would run, but it would, and then it would rev, but then as soon as the pump went quiet, it must have been blocking the fuel line, so we must have another blockage. We've cleaned the tank out. Just these cars that sit for a long time, so he must be out the back. Here he comes now. What did you find, Wayne?
I started up again. Thanks, mate, on camera. Hi, boys. I started up again, and the part that I fixed isn't happening. I'm thinking that from the tank to the line that's been replaced has been put a lesser hose, and it's sucking in up there. So I'm just in the process of pulling another pump and tank out with a smaller hose, so I can put it back to factory.
If you pull the other tank out, we'll just compare those two tanks, and if the tanks are the same, we'll put the other tank in, I think.
It looks identical.
Yeah, because this tank was full of gunk and crap, and I'd say the breathers are blocked still because we had to put wire and stuff through them. So if you get the other one out, we'll have a quick look at it and go from there.
It's going to take a minute. But
yeah, no, that's all good, man. It's just the way it goes. Just cars that sit forever have issues, just the way it goes. So Wayne's ended up pulling the tank out completely. This is the old like float level thing. It's rusty there, and you can just see it's terrible. So this is the original tank out of the turbo car. So we've got a new tank in the car now. So time to test drive it. Basically I'm going to head across to Kingatow and we'll see how it goes. There's no more noise from the pump. I'd say it was drawing in little bits of flake of rust and stuff like that, because the person I had working for me that cleaned the tank out the first time obviously puts no effort in and didn't do it properly, whereas it's good now, as far as I can tell. So let's head across to Kingatow. Talk to you when I get there. Well, that was a successful mission with the 929 back again. Like, it's such a nice car. I had a few issues on the way back, like the clutch pedal stuck to the floor, and I'm thinking, oh shit, the clutch is, I've got to pull the box out now and put a clutch in this thing. But yeah, I ended up flicking it back up with my foot and it was right. It must be just, the throttle's a bit sticky, because remember when I first got this thing going, the throttle body was all seized up. But I just don't know about it. It sort of grows on you a bit, but I don't know. Still got a bit more to do on it. A bit more tidy up, a bit more bits and pieces, but that was a successful drive back. So that was what, 35 minutes back from the yard to here. So yeah, cool. We'll see how it goes on the way back to the yard. Righto, well that's a result. Back at the yard with the beast. Look how good this thing looks now. Like the inside of it, I don't think I've really showed you. Oh, it's a bit dark in here now. I've still got to just do, the only thing I've got left to do really is the painting of these black strips, windscreen wiper, and that's about it. So I'll throw up the finished product in a video that's coming up, but it'll just be a quick look over and I'll show you how good this interior actually is. But yeah, it actually, the first couple of times I drove it, I thought it didn't have much stick there, but it goes all right. Like, I'm not going to play with the boost. I'm not going to modify this car. It needs to go to someone that's going to put their stamp on it. But it's awesome. Pop-up headlights, and yeah, she's just a beast. Yeah. They've got a few blemishes in the paint, but it's not rusty and it drives so good. Someone's going to be stoked to own this. Like, I'm glad that we've brought it back to life. That's for sure. So, righto. That's enough 929 for us. We've got a bit more of the grey ute coming up. Obviously the WRX isn't in the background anymore. Done a bit on that, waiting on a few more parts. But yeah, so things are going well. See you again soon, dudes.